welcome back to a new video, or if you're new, I'm Samio. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about berets, or more specifically, box braids and berets, or any protective hairstyle really. If you've kind of been keeping up with my recent vlog, or you've seen on my Instagram stories, you may know a little secret about my hair, and that is that I haven't actually finished this protective hairstyle because, shall we reveal? I have this going on. Now you may be wondering, if you're new here, what the heck is that? And it's basically me running out of hair midway through my protective hairstyle, which led me to basically not finish it at all, and now I am living in berets until I'm ready to change up the style. So I did order more hair, but it got to the point where I'm kind of like a few weeks in now with this particular box braid situation, and I've just thought, you know what, there's no point in me doing this middle patch and it being fresh hair for then this bit to be kind of hanging off my head. Plus I tend to live in berets around this time of year anyway, so I'm kind of like, what's the point? And I'm super lazy when it comes to my edges. I'm not one of those people who has their edges on point, really don't care. So because of that, hats are kind of my lifesaver, or should I say berets in particular. Now I've had a lot of questions over on my Instagram about how I'm wearing berets, specifically like where I get them from, how they're fitting over my head basically, because if you've had a protective hairstyle or if you have afro hair, which I do sometimes wear berets with my hair out, you'll know that they're kind of a snug fit, a lot of them, but I don't buy my hats from anywhere in particular. I just literally get my berets and I stretch them, and there's no specific technique. I just literally do this, which you may have seen over on my Instagram stories recently. I shared how I did that, and I got quite a lot of messages from that, which kind of sparked me to do this video, which was all about how I wear berets in general. That is it basically. When it comes to making it fit, I just stretch it to make it fit. And then over time, wearing it, it will stretch out. It is that simple, really. There's no magic trick. There's no specific place I get them from. That is just what I do. They all tend to be one size. However, I will say that sizes do vary depending where you get them from. They're pretty much the same. I think the one I've got on my head is slightly bigger. But I'm going to take you through a few styles, how I kind of maintain my braids. And I'm going to start with this style, which is pretty much my go-to signature style of the moment, wearing my braids to one side with some hair clips. So first things first, obviously braids are a protective style, so I do like to make sure I'm looking after my braids and my hair underneath as I'm wearing them. I really like to use the mane and tail braid sheen, which I'll kind of spritz all over my hair from the roots to the tips, just so that it's really like penetrating the hair and also kind of working its way into my natural hair underneath the protective style. I'll do this around my edges as well, because although I don't care about how they look as such, I like to at least kind of keep them moisturized and just making sure that they're not getting dry to prevent breakage. And then I'll go in with a little bit of hair oil. I've been using the Hask Argan Oil, which you can get in like Superdrug and Boots, but you can use any hair oil that works for you. It's just really important to keep you know, your natural hair underneath moisturized and hydrated, because again, you want to prevent that breakage. This is a protective hairstyle. You're trying to nourish the hair underneath and protect it through winter, so that's why it's really good to do that in between washes as well. And then if you do want to sort out your edges a little bit, because I do want to defluff them a bit, I go in with a little bit of gel. You can just use pretty much any gel, and I literally just run it through with my fingers and kind of like mold it into shape. So for this style, I'm literally flicking all of my hair to one side, and this is kind of like the position I want my hair to fall when I have the beret on. And I'm using a couple of clips here. This is totally optional. It's just a style choice that I like to make, just to jazz up the look a tiny little bit. And I'm kind of going in at the root of my box braids. So mine are kind of, they're a few weeks in now, so they're already starting to hang off my head slightly. So I'm putting the grip in at the base of my braids, but I'm being really careful not to pull the hair, and it feels really comfortable. So just make sure if you are applying any sort of grips like this that you're not going to be ripping the hair or making it uncomfortable on your head. It might be slightly harder if you've got fresher braids, but once that's in place, I'm also applying this other clip, which is a better choice probably for most people, because this one's just like clipping on top of the braids as opposed to kind of like gripping in, if that makes sense. And then once I've got those two in a position that I'm happy with, I'll just adjust them to make sure I'm happy with the angling, and then I'm just literally popping the hat on top, and you'll see that then the hat holds the style in place, and also it's covering that hilarious patch of hair in the middle of my head that isn't done. And this has been my go-to hairstyle day to day at the moment, and I'm really enjoying it, and it's so easy. Like in the mornings I get really quick and literally just pop the hat on like this. So this next one is another one for people who are lazy with their edges like me. I'm just going to get a few braids from one side, maybe this amount, like so. And then I'm just going to kind of sweep it round and create a sort of halo around the front of my head, like that. And then I'm just holding it here. And then I'm going to get any old clip. I'm just going to use the same pearl one from before. It doesn't really matter what it is because you're not going to see it. And I'm really gently just holding some of these in place. It doesn't really matter what the clip looks like because we're going to hide this with the hat anyway. And I'm going to do the same over here. So it feels like it could slightly fall off my head at the moment, but it's fine because once the hat's on, it's going to hold it in place. And I'm going to go from the back and pull it slightly forward like that. And this is already starting to feel secure because the hat, as I've said, it's been stretched, so it's quite a tight one like that. And now we've got this random piece of hair poking out. I'm literally just going to tuck this in. And then you might want to take some time to adjust this front bit to get it how you want it to be. And again, if you've got any bits poking out that you want to sort out, you can do that, but I'm just going to leave it as is. And for this style, I'm kind of pulling it further back onto my head, so it's quite low. And just to show you, this is really secure as well because it is pretty tight on my head. So I'll give you a 360 of this. And I think this would be a great one for when you're really coming to the end of your protective style. So like when those braids are kind of hanging off your head, especially if you've got like a contrasting colour that you've gone for your protective style, and maybe your natural hair's dark, for example, and you've gone for like blonde braids, then it's a good way to hide those edges and really disguise that. And then you can get the colour of your hair right against your skin tone. So I really like this one for that. Ooh, shall we mix up the colour? Because yeah, let's mix it up. For this next one, I'm going to go for the brown beret. I really love this shade at the moment. So next, let's go super simple. We're going to middle part it slightly, well, as much as my hair will allow. And this is really basic, but just to show how a different colour can also change up your look slightly. So literally like this. Now, you'll see this is a slightly smaller beret, so it will kind of get that like puckered look slightly, but I don't mind it too much. I feel like in particular when it's like this, it gives it a real 90s vibe, and I quite like this because this is literally how basic it is. Like, you're just running out the door. Again, when you've got zero time for those edges, you're just covering it up. It is that easy. And of course you can kind of play around with how you style it on your head if you do want to take more time on your edges, and depending on where your part is. I thought this was a central part, but it's looking slightly off. You can move it back a little bit, and I feel like this changes up the look again. This kind of looks a little bit more 70s as opposed to this, which looks more 90s, and all I'm doing is moving where it's positioned on my head, which is crazy. And then you can play around with it to the sides. So I'm quite a fan of like the side beret. This doesn't kind of do that sort of flop over thing as much as my black one does, because that seems to be slightly bigger, but we can still kind of get the to one side vibe, like so. And yeah, you can just basically play around with it on your head how you wish, and even just the colour and positioning can really switch up your look, especially if you're like me. Over the winter period, I'm quite boring. I will wear the same coat on repeat. I'll wear like the same outfits underneath, but I'll switch up my look with like my makeup, would be it a lipstick and the colour of the beret. So let's just whack on a blue one, for example. I quite like a baby blue at the moment. This one also has that like pointy thing. Not all of my berets have that. Some of them, oh, that one has one. I've got a pink one. I've got like all the colours of the rainbow here. My black one doesn't have that. So yeah, it just depends what you want. And again, I'd say this gives more of a vintage vibe. Let's pull it to one side. We'll do this side this time. But instead of like flopping it over, I'm just kind of pulling it to one side like that. And we'll pop this on. And what you can do is you can use it to like tuck bits of hair in. So like these are falling down, and I'll literally tuck it in. Did you see like here? So then, because it is so tight on my head, they're secure now and they won't fall down. So it kind of keeps that to one side style like so. Oh, I actually quite like this. I've not worn it like this. And because this flops in my face, kind of annoys me, and already it's like destroyed my eyebrow. So again, we can tuck, do a little bit of tucking. Don't be afraid to tuck so it's in a position, because sometimes it kind of annoys me when I do have my braids down, how they constantly fall in my face. So I kind of use a beret as if it is like using a hair clip or something. And don't be afraid to do a bit of tucking like so, and then you can kind of position it how you want, you know, if you don't want it all dangling in your face, which someone like me finds it kind of irritating. And that is really secure, like there's only so much I can swazz about here, but just that simply, we've just kind of created another look with it. I kind of took you through a few styles at once and really quick, but that is wearing it in a super simple way. So for this next style, I'm going to use a scrunchie. I'm kind of doing a little bit of a side part, but it doesn't have to be super sided, if that makes sense. But I'm just grabbing a chunk of hair over from this side, and I'm sweeping it around like this, and I'm going to use my scrunchie. Now this is quite a large scrunchie, so I'm able to get it around twice. So we've got this going on like that, and then I'm going to bring back the black beret, and I'm pulling this to one side so it kind of like covers the scrunchie a bit and covers this bit. And if any of these braids feel like they're coming loose, I can literally just pull them just to make sure that they're like tight within the pony. Especially these ones that are wrapped right round. You probably need quite long braids for this. But yeah, that is pretty much it. And this is quite a good style if you would rather it in a pony as opposed to being down. But I'll give you the full view. And let's end on one more, why not? I'm gonna actually have my edges exposed for this one, so let's give them a quick spritz. And I'm throwing all my braids back. And as you can see up close, mine has started to grow out quite a bit, but I don't care. Put more oil. Oh, this stuff smells so nice, by the way. The argan oil from Hask. Right, so we're throwing it all back. Should we go in with a red beret? Let's do the red. I do like a red beret. So for this one, I want the hair to kind of be like slicked back, but I'm also going to have it a little bit on show. And again, this is a slightly smaller hat, so it will pucker a little bit, but I'm not too bothered about that. I've kind of just pulled it all back. So you're kind of actually only seeing my own roots there, but I don't mind it. I've just made sure that they're conditioned. And I pulled the hat really low back for this look as well. So before we wrap up, let me try something a little bit extra. I've got my favourite vintage headscarf here, which if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see a lot because I'm always whipping this one out. I want to try, and I'm literally just going to kind of bow this. So this is totally extra, but I love it. And you know, don't be afraid to play around, add things in. I am just like loving accessories at the moment. Let's see what this looks like. Just shoved in. And I'm totally loving being extra at the moment, so I've just shoved that in there as well. The hair clip once again. So I think I'm going to wrap things up here because otherwise I could just talk about berets all day. If you hadn't noticed, I really have fun playing around with these. Hopefully you found this video useful, and if you did enjoy it, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Click that bell button if you haven't already, and then you'll be notified when my next video goes up. You can also find me on Instagram at Samio Ronalda, and I post loads of kind of like beauty, hair related, style related content over there if you want to see more stuff. And I'm often wearing berets as well if that is of any interest. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye!